Hello guys, welcome back to the OneCraft development or developer diary. So this is going to be a short episode. I just wanted to let you guys know that I was still alive. I've been doing a lot of work, but it won't look like a lot of work. So this is going to be the use your imagination episode. So anyway, I'm going to talk about a couple of things. I'm going to show you some progress I've made on a couple of things, and then I'm going to talk about some things that I want to do in the future, and just kind of where it's going. I've actually gotten reinvigorated. So first off, let me say this. I had heard of, but never really seen or knew anything about the Better Than Wolves mod. And somebody said, oh, this is kind of cool. It's like Better Than Wolves meets Industrial Craft. And I was like, oh, really? I could go check that out. So I went and looked. And sure enough, Better Than Wolves was brilliant. It's as far as I can tell, I don't know. It seems like maybe it's out of development or something. And it was big for a while. I don't know. A lot of really great ideas. In fact, a lot of the stuff that I want to do, like one of the things that he did or whoever it was did in Better Than Wolves was like the hand crank. You could like hand crank the what are they called? The mills, like the millstones and stuff like that. So you make a hand crank and set it next to it, which I thought was actually kind of a cool idea. Because I've been talking about like the hand crank wheels and the upgraded tech, and then he's got like the windmill that like powers things. So a lot of some really cool ideas in that. So I want to give the proper credit for some good ideas. And those seem to be, what I noticed was like even some ideas for like mods that I don't think were out at the time when he came out with that stuff, like micro block type stuff. So you have that saw, like the sawmill, and you can put the blocks on it and it will cut them in half. And then you had like corner blocks and post blocks and all that different thing. Like I think he called it like trim or something like that. So anyway, a lot of really good ideas that others ended up implementing. And there's some stuff that is similar to what I wanted to implement. So very cool. This is a weird coastline, I just realized. Kind of a strange, squarish little area right here. So anyway, wanted to mention that right away. I had not seen it before, and I actually got a little bit kind of down about things. I was like, oh, great. Like had another idea, and now people have done it and whatever. And then I was starting to think, and a lot of the things that I want to do are different. Plus, I mean, even if he had done it, obviously did do it, even if some of the ideas are similar, I think that mine is going to stand out enough on some of the ideas to have merit. So anyway, get that out of the way. Yeah, so I've been really excited and really have a lot of ideas, but I've been working on some things that I want to kind of show today and then talk about those. So I've got three things here. I've got a rock crusher, a steam engine, and a crank pulley. I don't know if these are really going to be things that I do, but really what I needed was just a way to get the power network code going, and I'm happy to tell you that I have a decent power network going, and we'll play with it a little bit, see how buggy it is. It's definitely buggy, but I'm not sure how bad. So we got the rock crusher, the steam engine. So these all are sharing textures. I mean, I was like basically making front and right textures for things so that I could kind of tell I'll talk a little bit about, you're going to have to use your imagination. Like I said, I'll talk a little bit about how I expect this to work. But anyway, so this right here is a steam engine. In fact, I'm going to place the rock crusher down first. I'm going to put that right here. And this you've seen, except for now it doesn't just like automatically process ore, right? So this thing will process ore, but it needs some power now. So I have the crank pulley. Now this is going to be a wheel. And imagine that it's oriented. So when I place it like this, the idea is that you're going to place the axle facing whatever machine you want to connect it to, and I'm probably going to make it so that it has to connect to like one of the right or left side of the and that's not the right side block. That block is going the same direction every time because of the direction of the block, not because of the. That's interesting. So that is always right, but that's not true. It's because it's like south, I think, or whatever. Anyway, I still have some issues, but I switched over to using the forge direction stuff. I was writing my own kind of like direction management matrix, and then I realized that there's a thing in Forge called forge direction, which does that, and it made my life a lot easier. So I think I messed up when I was doing mine, and that's made that all weird. Anyway, this is a rock crusher. Doesn't automatically process ores. So this thing is a crank pulley, And the idea is, again, that you are going to probably only be able to place it on the right or left of one of these things, basically wherever the axle or drive shaft connection would be for the machine. I don't think I'm just going to make it any corner because, again, these are going to be like models. They're not just going to be blocks. I want them to be models, and we'll see how that works. I would really like that to be one of the things that sets it apart. But anyway, so you'll want to face toward the direction of the shaft input. So if I went like this, if I set it down here, the wheel would be like, we'd be facing the side of the wheel and the shaft would be going out the other side. So I want to place it like that, and I can't place it just anywhere in the world. It has to be connected to one of the components of the system. So now this is a crank pulley, and if I go look over here, you can see I just clicked it on accident. If I click this a few times and then click over here, you can see it's processing that. And I'm giving it a power level 1 processing this ore, so I can just kind of keep right clicking, hold that down, and a little bit more, and there we go. So that processes that ore. So now I've got a power system in place to where this crank pulley is giving power if you hand crank it. And again, it's processing at a level 1, so I haven't been tweaking too much the time that things take, but I would want it to be like maybe even like a level 0.5 or something, so it'll take a little while to crank. And I'm defining the levels so that I can kind of use multipliers and things with different components and systems so that you get, faster production or whatever. Okay, so that's one thing. So that's in place, and we crank it and it crushes this rock. Now, let's say we get a steam engine going, and I'm actually going to put the steam engine right here. And if I go ahead, now I can put in, this takes water on this side and coal on this side. Right now I have it set up so that it only burns coal and it only takes water. It probably will only ever take water, but it will probably burn more than just coal. And the idea right now is that it takes 1 water and 4 coal will burn that water. And I'll talk some more about some of the intricacies of the steam engine that I'm thinking about implementing. But now we're going to put another crank system in place. We're going to put that there, but these aren't going to be hooked up, right? If this was one closer, these would be hooked up. And the way I was going to do it with the models is that if it found a connection next to it, it would look like a belt was between them. Otherwise, it'll just look like a wooden wheel. But if it's connected to a pulley system, it would look like a belt going between them. So anyway, right now, this isn't going to do anything. I can right click it, but it's not going to give anything to this, and it's not going to give anything to this, right? But if I put another crank pulley in between, now we have a belt. So this block would just look like a belt. It would not have a wheel, right? And these are the same block, but they depending on where they are in the power network, they will get a different look because they have different attributes. Okay, so now if I crank this block here, if I right-click this one, it will actually send power over here and process this because it will take power. It's got a wheel on it. It'll take power, and it will process this. Okay, now that's important because it's still processing at a level 1, and it's still just me hand cranking the thing, right? But now if we put in, and I mean it's exciting for me, but it's probably not that exciting for you. If I put in some water and then I'll put in 4 coal so it'll burn the whole time. So it took the water, took the coal, so you can see it's burning the coal down and the water slowly burning down. And it's doing its thing, and now it's providing power over here, right? So that's a working power network, and I can do all kinds of other things. Right now I can run this at infinite length. I could run this, 100 blocks, and that probably I won't allow. I'll probably allow max one additional belt block between pulley wheels. I don't think I'm going to go anymore. So it's stopped, and that's because this thing is now out of power. Okay. So, and you notice that it was going a little bit faster. I'm actually having a normal steam engine run at a 1.5 power level. And I'm thinking, anyway, we'll figure out other things. I'll talk about that. But anyway, so that may not seem like a lot to you guys, but it's a lot to me. It is, let's do this. Let's put down our rock crusher, and then I just want to make sure that it actually will go an infinite amount of blocks like I told you it would. and it will send power the other way. Yeah, so there we go. It'll send power both ways, actually, but the way the network is set up, I'm not sure if, I'm sure, actually I shouldn't say I'm not sure, I am sure it's not the most efficient that I can be as far as the power system goes. It does a lot of checking. I'm going to set it up to be, basically it's checking stuff every tick right now. I haven't set up a timer, so I'm going to set up a world timer that allows me to schedule updates for certain things and also not produce power every tick. It'll produce power every 20 ticks, but it'll produce 20 ticks worth of power every 20 ticks or something like that. And so I'll break it down. I don't know. We'll see. Because I know I'm going to have to work on performance. But anyway, the way it works is that every block in the network checks to see if there's a power receiver on the end. It also checks to see if there's more than one possible connection. So if I do this one, now let me see if this will actually be a good test. I think this shouldn't actually power that, but it seems like it is. Actually, I think that is okay. I think if I put it here, it won't power it. Let's see if that's true. No, it's powering it. So I've got a bug because I'm actually trying to, well, maybe not. I think the other one may have finished off. Yeah, this one's not powering it now. Yeah, because it won't actually power if there's an axle connection. It won't. That would look funny, right, for a belt to be coming from here to there. So it's smart enough to know that the connection should only go one direction. It's not supposed to connect from here, but obviously it does. It's supposed to only be able to have 2 maximum connections, and one of the connections counts for the axle, but so that wouldn't work. But anyway, like if I put one up here, let's see, it won't do it. What if I do like this? Huh. Oh, well, I don't know why it's not letting me place there. I must have some placement code. I think I'm only allowing it, I'm only checking right now for all of the directional sides, not up and down. So, anyway, I should be, I was going to allow you to place a block on top. So like place one right here. So that you could have machines go up and down. I really don't care what direction you go, but you can only connect one. So anyway, lots of bugs. But I do have the basic power system implemented. I just have to get some logic behind it. So this is cool, though. So I can only put one bucket in at a time, but I can put another one in once it gets going. And so this is going to be a pain, right, to manage, and it's going to go really fast. But it's cranking through stuff, and it would be pretty good for that kind of thing, right? And this, at most you can put one bucket in and get it started and then put another bucket in and it'll run through 8 coal. And then it will, it'll be done and you'd have to kind of constantly manage it. So what I was thinking is there'll be other components for this thing, like like an expanded coal chamber, an expanded water chamber that you can add that will allow you to have, kind of hopperish type, aspects to it so that you can have a larger steam chamber, and then probably with an expanded coal chamber, an expanded steam or expanded water chamber, there'd be something like a reinforced steam chamber or something that would allow you to burn a couple of coal at once or something and get more power. And so anyway, that kind of brings me to one of the things that I was thinking about, which is the tech level. So getting this working was actually kind of a pain, getting all of this GUI updating stuff going, but it was fun, and you can tell these are my kind of like totally developer art stuff. I just drew some crap, although I think this one ended up looking okay. This one's from just the furnace, and this one I just drew. So, yeah. Oh, I wanted to also mention that these blocks are, I don't know if some of them people kind of like were like, oh, I kind of like those blocks. Like this doesn't look that bad, right? This was more or less the idea that I wanted, which was just take the sand texture and the glass texture, give it an opacity, and then mix them together a little bit so that it looks kind of like glass. I'll probably tweak it to have less white, but it's always going to look something like that, or that was my idea. The rest of these are just totally winging it, like that, the quartzite, that was just to get some of the colors that I found from quartzite when I looked it up. Somebody mentioned that the comment I made on copper was that I said it should always be, the green. It is, it's because copper actually oxidizes, the copper ore, I think, or copper oxidizes when it hits the air, which would make sense. So like when you see the copper ore sitting in a museum or something, or in a whatever, it's been oxidized, so it looks green like this. And so I figured that was appropriate, since, you know, you would normally be mining and you would find copper and it maybe not exposed to air, so it would look like copper. Maybe that's how it looks. I've never been mining for copper. But this has been sitting out in the air because it was a strike and there was a fire and whatever, so this would definitely be oxidized, so that makes sense. And then this is totally temporary. Again, it's just the fire charge texture blown up that I just played with. The scarred, like I said, that's probably close to what the texture will look like. The glass is probably close. The dirt is probably not close at all, except that it will look like dirt with some sort of scorching, and the black and red stripes on it probably aren't going to be final texture. So anyway, I just wanted people to not get scared that it's going to be the ugliest mod ever, because I will put a little more effort into it myself and then ask for help if I can't get it. Okay, what else? So anyway, very proud of this, just because it was a lot of work, and I rewrote it twice. I had it going once, and it wasn't really a network. I had it working, but it just wasn't. I mean, it was very fragile, and it wasn't going to support too many things. Right now, it's only supporting kind of linear connections, so it doesn't have the wire pipe thing going that, like, I don't know, Red Power or BuildCraft or even Redstone has, where the wires come together. But it is directional power, so that's a start. And I do have the ability with the network stuff that I built, the mapping, the tile maps and stuff that I built, that allow me to have connections on all sides if I want to allow it, and determine direction based on power consumers at one end or the other, and power producers. So, yeah. And actually, none of them care about the power producers. They are only really checking for, is there a consumer at the end, because they're just given power by the block that is adjacent to it. So it's kind of cool. And there's some backflow prevention and stuff like that built in. So I've done a lot of work, and that was a huge learning experience for me. I mean, that was one of the next big wins, when I was able to overcome some of that and actually write my own code that did things, you know, that kind of worked within the framework. That was cool. So that was an encouragement. Anyway, so that's that. So yeah, a couple of things as far as talking about how this might go. I think I am going to have some power in the future, something that would be, you know, I just kind of totally brainstorming here, the things that might happen, like the tech tree, right? So you'll start with some machines, some very basic mechanical machines, and you will hand crank them at first, right? And probably most of them will be built. I'm going to skip probably skip the phase of mining, you know, skarn and then beating it with a hammer. But what you can do is mine skarn and put it directly into a furnace. And I think a couple of people gave me some good ideas. One of them was that I think it was actually maybe even Night Zero had mentioned that if you did like just plain skarn ore, you would get just like a rough or a dirty copper, like an impure copper, and that would be a cool idea, that you could actually use the skarn ore early on, and maybe you would have to make some of these machines. Like maybe something in some component of this rock crusher would require that you have some like rough copper. I'm not sure what yet. But just to like kind of start that tech tree, so you would get the skarn, you would smelt it just like you would any other ore in a regular furnace, and you would just get, you know, rough copper ingots or dirty copper or impure copper or, you know, plain copper or whatever. Or not plain copper, but anyway. And then if you do the rock crusher, you would get the multiple different types of things out of it, and you could get more pure copper, and then you could use that to make, you know, wiring and things like that. And so anyway, so that's kind of what I'm thinking with that. So your first tech level will be something like hand cranked machines. There'll be a rock crusher. There'll be, I don't even know what else. I've been focusing so much on just this little thing. Like my world consists of a steam engine and a rock crusher right now. But then you will probably be able to do things like obviously add some sort of belt driven power. I'm not sure if steam engine is going to be the first thing. I kind of want to skip like the water wheel phase. As cool as it would be to learn to like make a water wheel, which I might, just for fun. I mean, I might do that just so that I can actually learn it. Cause I don't even know what it would take to make a rotating animated thing that was 4 blocks or 6 by 3 by 3 blocks or whatever it is that those are, and especially the red power stuff, it's crazy. I'm afraid that that's right now would be just digging in too much, so I probably will skip that. Although if I wanted to, I could make a water wheel or a water mill, kind of like Industrial Craft did, where it's just one block and it doesn't have all the crazy animation. So I could do that, and if I did, I would make it have running water, just like the Better Than Wolves one did. But I think I'm going to skip that. I think I'm going to go straight to something like a steam engine. I don't know if there's like a even lower tech engine that we could come up with. I think it's probably steam is probably about as low as I could think of. And so you build a steam engine, and I'm thinking about having components, like I said, having like an upgraded steam chamber, or whatever. So there might be like upgrade slots that allow you to do that. So you could upgrade this one, or maybe like an upgraded steam chamber would go on top, and a water chamber would go on one side, and extended water chamber, extended cold chamber, or whatever. And so start to build out your machine a little bit and have the, I don't know. And I might even make it so where it's a multiple block thing, because that is something I want to do early on, is figure out how to build multi-block machines. So I might make like a 4x or like a 2x2. So something, something like this. Make this like the steam engine. And then, have one of the blocks be an input, or maybe it needs to be 3x3 so that it has a center or something. I don't know. Or maybe not. Maybe the whole thing could just be, and I could have like the texture kind of be in the middle. You could click on any of the blocks. I don't know, but I do know that I'm thinking along those lines. So I'm going to have some sort of power. Yeah, and so then the other thing I was thinking is there would be like management type things that you would have to do. You'll have to manage the steam engine's heat. So if you have coal in here, well, this one won't actually work. But if you have coal in here and you're burning steam, If you have coal in here and you're burning and you got steam going, you got water, and then you ran out of water, but you still had coal. So if you didn't manage the like ratio of coal to water, then it would start to like get a heat gauge, and if it reached a certain level, or maybe even just if you ever run it without, if you ever have it burning without having steam, then it would raise the heat level, and then that would like maybe start to damage it, so that the steam engine might have a life, like it might have a life expectancy, or at least a part of it, like at least the steam chamber would have a life, expectancy, and it would eventually wear out, and you'd have to replace parts. I don't want that to be like a super common thing, but I do want to have the idea of it. And one of the reasons I think that would be really cool is because I'm thinking of having my crafting bench mechanics. This is something I'm really excited about the prospect of. So let's say this was my crafting bench. I have to make, like whatever we have to, I can't remember what I decided, or we didn't decide, but I can't remember what I was thinking, like maybe obsidian or something that you'd have to have on the sides, and then you'd have to craft a block, and then when you put it down together, it would become this like cool looking crafting bench. And what I'm thinking is that crafting benches are going to get some like basic random attributes when they start. And the idea is, without going into too much detail, I'll flesh it out a little bit more as we go. The idea would be that you will, when you make machines and components on the crafting bench, that they'll basically get like enchantments based on the level of the crafting bench. Like the crafting bench will kind of have a life of its own, and the more you use it, the more chance you have of it getting some new cool attribute. Like, maybe a crafting bench, it becomes like, it gets like Craftsman 1, and Craftsman 1 makes machines that have, a longer lifetime. So like if there's machines or components that have some sort of like ability to wear out, then you get, with Craftsman 1, maybe you get like plus 10%. And maybe they even get like negative things. Like if you get a negative hit too many times, it gets impatient 1 or something like that, where it would actually give you like a negative attribute for the thing. But when you get anytime you got a negative one, you would also get some other positive that you would like, that would maybe offset. But anyway, the idea was just to give a little character to certain areas of the world and certain, benches and workshops within the world. And different things like that. And so, maybe one of the attributes would be like heat, I don't know, heat resistance or heat resistant or something like that, so that things that were produced on it would get a positive heat resistance. So what I was thinking is that a steam engine would generally not wear out unless you were like running it overheated. That would wear it out a little bit, but it would generally not wear out if you were running it at the tech level it was meant for. But let's say then the next thing you do is you start to produce a higher grade of coal, or like coke coal or something like that, or even like something like a blaze rod. You could throw a blaze rod in there. But if you did that, that would definitely shorten the lifespan. Like it would make it run really fast, but it would shorten the lifespan quite a bit. And so like running it at or below a matching tech level, or some, I don't know, I'll have to kind of figure out the mechanics behind that, would make it last forever. But if you start to pair it with higher end things, it would start to wear out. The same thing would be true with like, you know, the power level, the output here would then affect these. If these are all getting something, the power level that's comparable or is compatible with their tech level, then they wouldn't wear out. But if you start to like, you know, put in a higher power level, they'll start to wear out, and then eventually they'll break and you'd have to replace them. Or if you go up too many tech levels, so like if we hook up a straight up like electrical engine that was, you know, like a high tech, you know, 21st century electrical engine, and then these were still like old wooden axle, wooden wheel pulley systems, they would just break immediately. They just can't handle it. So you can't get the techs too mismatched, but you could kind of change the tech levels up a little bit. And so some of the things I was thinking as far as that goes is, you know, like one of the things with this is that it's just straight power. Like there's no storage in this system at all. None of these blocks have any storage. So this one actually has 20 ticks of storage right now. So it will store up to 20 ticks of storage. And if I get to the point where what I might want to do is have like an electrical generator, right, that is powered by a steam engine. So you might go like steam engine to a generator, and then generator would power this, and it would have a little bit of internal storage, right? So that you could actually store some electricity without using it, but not really very much. And maybe really not that big of a deal. Maybe you wouldn't store any, except that you could pair an electrical generator with a battery box or something, which would allow you to store a little bit of energy. So now you're no longer, you know, having to babysit this thing to get any usage out of it. So now you can have a little bit of like a battery box or something in your system, and then have redstone signals that would allow you to start and stop other machines or fill things from hoppers or whatever based on. And you could kind of maybe start to automate if you got fancy. You could start to automate, like, you know, keeping a little bit of power, or switching your steam engine on and off or whatever. But you would have to manage it still at that level. You would be managing like putting steam and coal in, and, you know, because that's what you had to do. You had to shovel in coal and keep the water chamber full, and you had to work, and then you had to go stoke the fire, and, you know, all that stuff. So it's that kind of thing, in bellows and whatever, you know, to increase the performance. Anyway, and then, you know, you might upgrade once you get to that level where you're actually going to be outputting quite a bit from that generator. Or from like the electrical engine that's hooked up to those things. It would be like a really rudimentary electrical engine to start with. But you still got to be producing the electricity somehow. So you might make it so that you move your steam engine to produce the electricity, and then now you're running off of electrical engines coming off the bat box or the generator or whatever. And then you might want to upgrade these, like they may need to be upgraded to steel axles or steel pulley wheels, right? So again, upgrading the techs, upgrading the belts, things like that. And that would just all be kind of that first level. And then you would eventually get rid of the belt and pulley system, and you would create a rock crusher with like an internal engine. So it would be an electric rock crusher. So it would have its engine internally, and you wouldn't have to worry about the belt and pulley system. And now you can run wires. And I'm thinking that initially I want to have like the old school kind of like wiring and wiring, you know, where it's kind of like, you know, just that nasty old wire that you find in old houses that looks like it's just kind of laying in the walls, and it's you know, the blacks. I don't know if I can describe it well, but anyway, you just kind of run it around, and it would kind of just be like kind of snaking around the thing. It might even be like every once in a while like a random block that has just like a curl pile of wires or whatever. And so you run from the generator to the electrical machines or whatever, and that would be the kind of the next level, and your electricity still is pretty inefficient, and you're not storing as much as you're losing, and, you know, that kind of thing. And then again, just kind of upgrading different components of the system to really keep it going. And I think that these are actually causing me lag. My frame rate's not dropping, but I would be willing to bet that because I have these things just constantly updating, that this is causing me lag. In fact, I would be curious to see if I just put a bunch of these in, is this going to like, I've got my first like lag bug. It's so exciting. Oh no, it totally is. Well, no, it's not. It's locked. My frame rate's locked, but I would think it probably is. And I know that. I knew I needed to get this fixed so that it's not updating all the time. But anyway, least of my concerns. So I don't even know what I was talking about now. But yeah, okay. So anyway, I said this was going to be a short video, and now I've lied. K-Man's going to kill me. So anyway, yes, the idea would be mixing the tech levels, and we're still at a very low tech level, right? And you go up to the next more high efficiency electrical generators and things like that, and then your wires are going to start to burn out, and you're going to have to upgrade your wiring and things like that. And the idea is that I really want to extend the tech tree. I want to make it, and I want these things to become not hard to get, but like I want your life to be easy enough that you don't, I mean, I want the pain to be felt early on with some of the stuff in the mod to where getting the upgrades is really nice, and it makes you're like, oh man, this level is so great. But then after a while, when you're starting to produce even more stuff to try to get even cooler, more, advanced things, then you start to feel the pain of that tech level. And so you work really hard and you upgrade to the next tech level, and now it's like, oh man, that's amazing. And so the tech levels last a while, and getting to the next one is a little difficult. I'm not sure how best to do that. I mean, really the only thing you can do is just require a bunch of diamonds. I was thinking some things you would have to do is like you could do like blade upgrades for the rock crusher, and you might have something like, steel blade, or starts with like a stone blade or something, and then you go to steel blades, and then you go to like diamond crusted steel blades and things like that. And, to get those, it's a job. It's some work to do, but it needs to be rewarding. It really needs to be that whatever it is that you have to do, it makes the system, or it makes the game more fun, not just the accomplishment of getting the thing. So that's going to be the real key, is trying to balance that. How do you make the game more fun based on the item that you got? It needs to make your life better, and doing the things that you do in Minecraft and the things that you can do in the mod better and more fun. So I need to find reasons to keep the production of certain minerals or the certain materials up, so that you can, and that's why I like the ideas of things wearing out or whatever, so that you can actually use them. And, maybe new blocks, maybe new building blocks would be cool. I mean, that might be something I put some time into, is really, really good looking building materials. And that you need a setup, like a workshop that runs efficiently to create those. I don't know, that might be kind of cool. So that's the kind of thing I'm thinking. Let me look at my notes real quick. The main points I was going to really kind of point out: the workbench getting better with use, and it's kind of like the enchanting table for components. Machines having different components that you can switch in and out. So you build a machine, and then it becomes a thing that you put a lot of time into. So you might, the machine has a longer life than just like, I got this machine, and then I upgraded to this machine, and then upgraded to this machine, but it starts to get a feel, and a workshop you start to be proud of it. And it's, to build a workshop somewhere is a big deal. And so you might have a nice workshop here, and, another one off somewhere else, because again, remember, I want to have, with like the volcanic activity that I was thinking about, where you would, new mountains might form, or new hills or whatever, or even just maybe just seepage, volcanic seepage that produces ores and such things. So you'll want to be traveling around, and when I do updates, I'll release new types of ores and things into the game. One of the other things I really wanted to talk about real quick was the idea that I want to create that kind of decision point in the game, like you have when you get your first couple of diamonds. Like, what do I need? What do I want to do with these? Do I want to make a pickaxe? First, really, you got to make a pickaxe, right? I guess the only other thing you could do is make a record player, or whatever it is, a jukebox. So, what do you want to do with your first diamonds? You make a pickaxe, and then are you going to make an enchanting table, or are you going to make another pickaxe? Are you going to do this or that? And so there's always that, like, that tension with the diamonds, but it's really the last time that you have that decision in the game, because like iron is never that rare, right? I mean, nothing is that rare that you're like, oh, what am I going to do with my first things? I want to try and create the tech tree so that based on what kind of a player you are, you'll make decisions differently. So, and maybe even some of the things that happen in the game will tell you like what ores you have, what ores you have access to, might, you know, might determine what you've done. So like what meteor strikes you found, or what, volcanic activity you found. And that might kind of influence that. And I really want to architect the trade-offs, like purposefully design the trade-offs that you'll be making between, this thing and that thing, going down this path or that path. And eventually you can have them all. You don't have to choose forever, but I want to make those decision points, important, so that if you made the wrong one, you would have to be playing catch up or whatever. And I don't want to punish people for playing, but I want to make it fun to think about it and make the right decisions, and fun to earn certain things, fun to build your first, rock crusher, because it makes that part of the game so much better. And then, going down the road of like using the glass and the silicates or whatever, and then making more kind of smaller level component things, or even, as we get into the more like high tech things with chips and things like that. So I think I've done enough rambling. I hope that if I show you guys like one or two things that I've done to actually prove that I'm not just thinking about the game, but actually working on it, that you guys will keep watching and stay excited a little bit. Hopefully things will start to come together as I learn models. And now that I've got some of this stuff down, I can implement other machines. I can start to implement the ores. I can start to implement the items, and I could get to a point where if I had models and some things that would allow me to feel like it was a playable game, then I could actually start a world. And that was there's two things. Oh, one thing I was going to tell you, I've been working on these stupid things again, trying to get the algorithms down for creating the holes and whatnot. People have given me a lot of suggestions. It's funny. I like randomly divide or multiply by pi or whatever, because that's what smart people do, and I don't even know what it does. But it is amazing how it will like change things in a very interesting way where other numbers don't. So so that's one thing. Yeah, so I'm also, one thing I'm going to do, I'll leave you with this thought. I'm actually going to start playing the game pretty soon, even at this very, very rough stage, once I get like some of the rest of the crafting recipes in place so that I can actually use it, because I'm not going to play it in creative mode. I'm going to start playing the game, and once I get the random strikes going, so that I can see what it's like to play it, and also so that I can be very aware of when I am forced to regenerate a world. I think I said this early on, I want one of my tenets to be that you don't have to regenerate your world almost ever. I'm going to shoot forever, but I'm probably going to fail on that, especially early on. But I want to make it so that everything I do within the game, I make it possible to not have to regenerate your world, so that you can just keep playing and not really be behind in any way, or even suffer too much of a detriment from not regenerating your world. So that's part of that is my idea of the event-based ore creation or generation of different types of materials. And I'll come up with other clever ways to do that. But and encouraging exploration, and even exploration to places you've already been, re-exploration, and setting up bases that you travel between, and the usage of mine carts and things like that. Those are the things I want to inspire and try and support. So anyway, I really do apologize for another long video that was supposed to be short, but I am really excited to tell you guys and show you things. So one of the things I'll probably work on next is getting the random, I still haven't done it, getting the random meteor strikes going. And then also getting some models. I really, 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 really want to get some models. If I could just get a very basic, like ugly, I don't even need it to look good. I just need to know that I could do it. If I could get an ugly model of a rock crusher with an ugly model of a pulley wheel and a belt connecting it to another pulley wheel connected to a steam engine. If I could do those things, I would be very happy. Just, they don't have to look good. I don't even have to be good at it. I just need to know that I can do it and get them rendering correctly in the world. And then probably some animations, like pulley wheel, like the belts, the wheels could like look like they could become blurry like they're spinning, and the belts could just like kind of like go up and down a little bit to look like they're spinning. So that's what I got to work on. I think that's my next big challenge. I don't even know where to start with that. So that's it. I really do appreciate it, guys. Thanks for sticking with me. I've been really enjoying the comments, so leave more. One guy, Comic Bee Studios, had mentioned possibly having meteors produce iridium ore. That was something else I wanted to mention. That's a good idea. I don't even know what iridium is really supposed to be in real life. I know that the mods use it, or at least Industrial Craft does. So that's one idea I'm going to look into. Yeah, and that's that. So I will talk to you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Thumbs up if you liked it. Although, just whatever. Tell your friends, though. I would like to get a lot of feedback and have people tell me what they think. So I will talk to you guys next time. Hopefully it won't be that long, and we'll have some more cool stuff done. See you then.